Don't you want to go pay a $34 grocery bill? Probably. Hey y'all, welcome back to Harmon Homestead. A little chicken scratch talk time here with you today. Look at my knockout rose behind me here. Isn't it gorgeous? I've got a pink one and then a coral one on the left-hand side. They've kind of grown together, so this will be a full display here in a couple weeks. I'm so excited. But anyways, honestly, guys, I have filmed this video about 4 different times. I've tried. I hit it out of the park earlier, but you couldn't hear me because the chickens were screaming the entire time. So usually late in the afternoon when I come out here, they're more quiet. So I know you don't want to hear chickens hollering every few seconds. But anyways, I had a very important question this week, and someone asked me, they said, what are the best types of plant varieties for us to grow? Y'all, I have been in turmoil over this question. There's so many answers to this, and there's so many things to tell you. So I'm gonna start from the very beginning. If you're on this channel, either if you followed us from the beginning, you know what we're about. We're all about growing our own food and becoming sustainable, living off the land, having chickens, animal husbandry, ducks, quail, the whole 9 yards. We want to make our home the grocery store. That's what we want. That's what I love. I'm a country girl at heart, and my husband's a country boy, and we're just living off the land. We're in rural Alabama. That's us. So, and if you're new here, that's who we are. So, and thank you, by the way, to all of the new subscribers. Trying to give you like a little recap introduction, okay? When I started out, I guess now it's been 3 years. It was during the pandemic. I started growing my own food. Y'all, for years I had tried growing flowers. In fact, these rose bushes I planted, that's the only thing I could grow was knockout roses, and anybody can grow those anywhere. So, I mean, I had no green thumb whatsoever. And my husband comes with a lot of knowledge on how to grow things. His family's done that, and they know how to grow. Mine didn't. My great-grandparents did, but my parents would do like most of your parents has probably done if you're in our age bracket, the 30s. They'd have tomato plants and pepper plants sitting out in their yard, okay? That's kind of what it's turned into. If people have that now. Now, my great-grandparents, they farmed. They had crops and corn and cattle, and that was kind of phasing out when I was coming up. So I didn't have this knowledge. No one to tell me. I had a lot of internet resources, and I had my husband. So I'm going to try to help you, okay? If you're new into gardening, you're going to see all these pretty colors. You're going to see the pretty packages. You're going to see names that you don't know what it is. And you're going to say, well, I want to try this, and I want to try that. And you're going to be like a kid in the candy shop, okay? You're going to want to try everything. My basic motto is, I don't care what you grow something. I don't care if you grow something someone's never heard of, or you grow a cowpea. I don't care. Grow something to become sustainable, because if you grow it and you fail, you get knowledge. If you grow it and you do well, you're addicted to it and you want to go back and grow more, and it's just a good habit to have. That's it. That's it. But when you start this, I saw all of this stuff and I bought it. And a lot of it is in my house right now, and I've never even opened the package. There's names this long on the package. I don't even know what it is. I mean, so every year I try new varieties of things to grow on a whim. I do it to keep my interest peaked. But honestly, when it boils down to it, tried and true varieties are going to be your biggest producers. And what I mean by that is, here in Alabama, we talk about our plants. Everybody talks about their plants. You'll hear people at the feed store, these older men, they'll talk about what they're growing and what they like and all that. You get accustomed to hearing these terms. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but you hear Atkinson tomatoes, you hear Better Boys, Big Boys, Celebrities. You hear stuff like that, and you hear those names, and you don't hear of some kind of Arctic glacier tomato, because that's not going to grow here in Alabama. Not well, it might, but it's not what we use. Somebody up north might use that, but we don't. My very first year, I tried everything known to man that was so random that I thought was either a pretty tomato or a pretty flower, and y'all, the tried and true worked. Now, I've lucked up too, so that's why I always try something new every year. I got on a website the very first year, and I said, I want some cherry tomatoes. And I saw the name Everglades. I liked that, you know. And y'all might be a lot smarter than me. I don't know. I just like pretty things. So I saw this Everglades tomato, and it said in the description, which is key and very important, guys. You've got to read the description on the plant. It said heat tolerant and drought resistant. And I said, well, that it come out of Florida. It was called Everglades for a reason. I'm gonna try it here in Alabama and see what it does. Well, we planted it, couldn't get rid of it. It was to the point, it was so prolific, it was almost invasive, really. I mean, I had other people that had these plants that I gave them to and all that. They said they were sprouting on the other side of their yard. I said, I know, I've got the same thing. We got a wood pile down here, y'all. I'm talking about country is cornbread. We got a wood pile down here, and we were burning in it. Well, next year, way past Everglades been pulled up, gone. Christmas is come and gone, okay? The next year, we've got grow out chickens, and one gets in that pile. The Everglades cherry tomato had sprouted in that burnt wood pile, and the chickens in there trying to get it, and I had to get down there at 8 o'clock with a fisherman's net. You talking about, y'all just don't know. I mean, because that thing would grow. There wasn't even any soil there. It was on top of the pile growing. I mean, you talk about resistant. In fact, I'm going to order some seed tonight of that and try it as like a fall harvest. I mean, so I looked up there, but I've also tried stuff like this year. I said, well, I'm going to try this jelly bean tomato. I didn't try the Everglades. I said, let's try this, just something different. They have done terrible. All but one has died, and I've planted probably 10, but I've got other plants like Atkinson right beside it that are doing great. So I'm just saying, you need to try things. That's the only way you're going to learn. If I go out and get jelly bean tomatoes next year, well, that's on me, because I already saw what they did here. If I go out and get Everglades, well, it's because I've got knowledge that it did well. But in your area, try to find tried and true varieties that will work. Again, read the description. If you're buying online, if you're buying local, just go ask your neighbors or go listen at the local feed store. And I'm going to tell you something. This stuff at the feed store may come in a brown paper sack, and it's not as pretty, but the stuff will grow, okay? For us, it has. And I always love my pretty ornamentals, and I always buy seed online, and I like it. But if you're serious about growing, and that's what I'm saying, you've been with us since day one. If you've been watching, it's time to get serious, okay? You need to be planting what you know will grow, okay? We want to be self-sufficient. And I can say this sitting here today, we are self-sufficient. And that is such a good feeling, y'all. And I'm telling you, if you're watching me, if I can do it, that's what I always say, you can do it. Because this is somebody that was at a fast food joint every night, okay? This is somebody who was at the grocery store once a week, at least. So dependable. We've been trained to think that we have to be dependable on this stuff. You do not have to do that. You can do it on your own. You don't have to have a green thumb. And for Oki's sake over there, my duck, my Drake, do not think that you cannot plant unless you have, well, your soil has to be conditioned this way, and you have to have this, and you have to have that, and you have to have, well, the magnesium is off of this, and the blah, 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 blah. Y'all, have you seen my pasture garden? It's nothing but clay and rock. And right now I've got corn this high. Got tomatoes doing beautiful. Even my own dad said, hey, that's not good soil. I know it, but that's what I got. And I'm going to grow one way or the other. You put you some fertilizer on it, and if the weather's right, it'll grow, okay? I'm just saying. I know that's not good, and we've got other locations, and that's why I have a raised bed. I've got a backup, because that is not optimal. And I know through trial and error, planting in that pasture, well, zucchini and squash actually did great, but the deer got it, okay? I've planted cowpeas. Cowpeas don't sound alluring, black-eyed peas, whatever you want to call them, but it'll grow. It'll grow in some of the most poorest conditions. They'll grow. And what I mean by that is the soil is just terrible, but they'll grow. They don't take a lot of amendments added to the soil. Something like a humongous pumpkin might. I've grown things down there, and usually, y'all, outside of cowpeas, corn, and tomatoes, everything gets eaten up by the deer before I can tell if it does well or not. I have had all this do pretty well. I've grown pumpkins down there. Canned pumpkins, still got canned pumpkins sitting on my shelf. You know, it was a bush pumpkin, Cherokee bush. That's something else I kind of looked upon. I said, well, that sounds cool. I like, you know, the Cherokee bush idea, something smaller, all that. And I planted it, did great. So I've tried Cinderella pumpkins. Those have not done well for us, but the deer have eaten them. So I can't compare that. What I'm saying is, though, always try something new. Always. But stick with your tried and true varieties. For example, our corn. Everybody around here says Silver Queen. Silver Queen corn. Silver Queen corn. The very first year, my husband got some corn. We didn't know what we were doing, or I didn't, and he wasn't able to help with it. It was just a mess. Second year, I said, well, we go to the food store. I like this peaches and cream. And I'd already looked up about bicolored corn and plain corn. You have to understand all this. Sweet corn, dent corn, okay? If you're wanting to eat corn, you want sweet corn. This is all stuff you've got to learn. Research it before you go buy your seed. So I said, I like the name peaches and cream. Okay. You know, it just sounds like it's going to be pretty and good. And I planted it. It did phenomenal. Phenomenal. I've had Silver Queen before. I'd rather have that peaches and cream any day. Now, I planted both this year in separate locations. But you luck up sometimes trying new things. That's why I say try new things. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't just go hog wild, as we say, and just go get every kind of random something you could imagine and not even know what it is. Start with the basics. If you're new to gardening, start with the basics. Some of your basic, easiest stuff to grow, in my opinion, if you've got a lot of land, I would say cowpeas. We do pink-eyed purple hull peas. That's what we do. In fact, this year we didn't even plant any. That will grow in the poorest of conditions. Usually a jalapeno pepper plant will do pretty well. Tomatoes, you'll get some tomatoes. Now, these people that are trying to grow a tomato this big, yeah, you're going to have to do a lot extra, okay? I'm talking about having a tomato to put on some bread and with mayonnaise and have a tomato sandwich, okay? Or to can your own tomatoes. Stuff like that will grow. Corn, to me, is very hard because you have to time it just right and you have to lay it by. I've done a video on that called How to Side Dress Corn. You have to. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's why I say the first year was terrible. I didn't do that, and it was about this tall. It was terrible. Terrible. I gave everybody in the county a good laugh with that corn. They didn't know if it was a weed or a corn stalk, but still, I'm telling you, you got to side dress your corn. Lay it by with ammonium nitrate. You have to do that if you want it to do well, or either you better put some more amendment down beside it of your choice, okay? There's things that take a lot of skill, and there's things that don't take a lot of skill. Whatever you are eating the most off your plate, or whatever you're consuming, like just say casseroles. What does most casseroles call for? Diced tomatoes, green beans, or corn. You might want to consider growing those, okay? Bush beans. Bush beans are the #1 thing for any beginner I would recommend. You can grow bush beans in mop buckets. You can grow bush beans in any kind of bucket. You can grow bush beans in your raised bed. You can grow bush beans anywhere. A green bean I would grow. It's fun. It's easy to germinate. I saw an article on the internet the other night, and I'd already planted all mine last week, at the very beginning of last week, in multiple locations. And it said the green beans will not germinate, bush beans will not germinate unless the soil temp is consistently 65 degrees. False, 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 false. That's not true. It's been 39 one night here. It's been in the 40s. Today it's 69, the high. It's been 74, 85. It's been all up and down, up and down. I've got bush beans everywhere, and I just looked in my pasture garden, and they're down there too. So you have to be very careful with what you're reading. I would compare sources. Like, what's the majority say? Does the majority say they're easy to grow, or do they say, you know, it has to be 80 degrees, and it has to da-da-da-da-da. A lot of people hear peppers are hard to grow. Eggplants are hard to grow. Take it for what it's worth. They're telling the truth. Those you have to have at a certain temp to germinate. I did a video on heat mats. That's the only way we could get them to come up. Outside of the very first year, I must have had a fluke. They did great. And then nothing since then, or it's been so hard to get it to work. Heat mats work. Again, failure equals knowledge, and knowledge equals skill and success over time. I said that yesterday, and I say that here. That's true. Beginner gardener, some kind of bush bean. I'm picky about mine. I've tried every kind known to man, from Cherokee wax to whatever, and the number one for Alabama and our location is going to be contender bush beans. You could throw them on a rock and they would grow, and they produce like no other. Contender bush beans. We get those from our feed store. Last year, the man didn't have them. We ended up having to get providers, and then we had all these purple ones and yellow ones because I thought they were pretty. I wanted to try them. I had nothing. And when I opened up my last quart of canned green beans this past week to eat, I said, ew, you know, it's, we better grow a lot this year because I have none. I have none. So, in the year before, I had bush beans and pole beans. Those are both green beans. One runs up a trellis, one has to run, and the other one's small and compact. That's why I said bush beans. We had, I think, 75 quarts just from this little 20 by 30 bed. I had 2 rows of bush beans and 1 row of pole beans. That's how it produced. Pole beans, you can find all these beautiful long names, all these random things. They may do great, but they may not. Bar none, my best variety. Good old rattlesnake pole beans. They have done excellent for us. You're talking about coming out here and picking buckets at the time when they're producing. They can withstand the heat. They just keep on going. At the end of the day, a plant is a plant. It's, no matter what you do to it, it has a life cycle, okay? Most of this is going to grow, produce, and putter out, okay? Don't get so wrapped up in trying to find the perfect seed to plant, and don't get so wrapped up in trying to have the best perfect condition of the soil. What I'm saying is, don't think, well, I can't do this because I don't have that. Yeah, you can do it. You can get out there and you can learn. It may not be the best, but you can compensate in other ways. You might plant 5 rows of bush beans where someone else with better conditions only has to plant 1 to get the same results, but you can still do it, okay? If you're serious about becoming sustainable. And I am 100% serious about this, and I hope that everyone takes heed. I keep saying that we're trying to get to the 20s and the 30-year-olds, because you're going to be the grandmas and the grandpas one day, and someone's going to be looking to you, and you can have a story to tell about how you became sustainable. I'm going to be in that boat. I want to be in that boat now. I am in that boat. And y'all, that's the best feeling, to know that I haven't been to the supermarket since the week of Easter. That's very good. My grocery bill since then, on food only, $34. That's how much food we're growing here. I don't show you a lot of this. That's how much food we're growing. $34. And I was still mad that it was $34. Still mad because I walked out with 1 sack. And it was, well, maybe 2 sacks, but it was nothing for the price that I paid. That's why I want to become sustainable. I'm not paying it. I'm not doing it. I like what I grow better. The taste is uncomparable. When you have a fresh tomato and have a tomato sandwich, I'm telling you, the tomatoes to me are the biggest taste difference. You cannot find, I don't care what fancy grocery store you go to, you can go to one anywhere, unless they grew it in their backyard and hauled it there that day, it's not going to taste the same. I've tried every tomato known to man because I love a tomato sandwich. I do. And it doesn't taste the same. It's close. It's good. But it's not, I mean, some of them are. Some of them are just pitiful. Pitiful. It shouldn't even be called a tomato. It ought to be called a piece of styrofoam. I mean, it's terrible. Terrible. Why not go do it yourself? Now, if you work full time, if you have a lot of responsibilities, I understand that. I get that. You can still do it. You can still do it. Trust me. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt to prove it. You can do it. You can do it. You have to be committed and you have to want it really bad. What really got us to a breaking point was, I don't know why, but when we got chickens during, all this 3 years ago, I just wanted some chickens. I'm a country girl. I just wanted my chickens. And it's like the garden just fell in suit. I said, well, I got him to build me a coop. Maybe he can put me a garden in now. It's kind of like, well, I really wanted the animals. I really wanted the animals. So maybe hubby will do this too. So, and then it spiraled and spiraled. I told him, I said, I've always dreamed of this pasture being disced up and I want to grow a garden here. I don't think that dirt's good, but we can try it. And there he was, and he was doing it for me. And, he's kind of left it to me, like, okay, this is, it's your project. I'll help you any way I can, but I'm going to let you do. And once you start doing, it's like you just keep going, and you don't want to stop. My grandmother said today, she was telling somebody, she said, she planted so much this week, it's a wonder she didn't uproot my house and plant there. I mean, I've planted so much. I love it. And planting week, I try to do it all in 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks. Now it's become 2 because we have so many different areas that we're planting on the property. And I try to get it all done at once. Boom, I want it done. My husband said, you need to space this out. Weather is not my friend. You have to, when the weather's right, go. If you live in the South, I'm telling you, because last year we got so screwed up with this, we waited. Well, you can wait to plant your corn, Well, we waited until it got May. By the time the rain quit, the ground dried out, you could disc the pasture up, and it was so bad. I don't know if the seed was bad or what, because nothing germinated because there was no rain for 3 weeks last summer. And then in June, we had record-breaking heat, 99 degrees at the very first week of June. Birmingham, Alabama hit a record. So when it's April, here where we're at, go, because you got your rain showers, all that. You don't want these little baby plants this tall and all this 99-degree heat. You want them on up. They're tough. They can take it. If they can take it. That's still a hard condition to grow in. Again, failure, knowledge, skill, and success. All 3. Now I know this year I better go do it. I better do it and do it right. Okay? We can't wait. You can't wait with this. I'm getting off on a tangent about that. Again, that's knowledge that I've picked up from the school of hard knocks, as they say, just pure experience. If you're a beginner, welcome. We appreciate you here. We're going to do everything we can. The only problem I'm struggling with right now is I don't know whether to cater to the beginners, what they need to see, or do we all need to just have a powwow and talk about what we're going through together, like we're kind of intermediate, beginners, and we kind of know what we're doing. I don't know. So if you're new, let me know. If you're growing, let me know. But if you're new, grow anything. I don't care what it is. Go out and grow. You can do it. You can do it. Just be careful and pay attention about what your seeds are and where you're spending your time and your resources, because you don't want to waste a lot of time and money on something that you can't even, again, a name this long, you don't know what it is, you don't know where it come from, and you can't go down to the local feed store and ask those men what it is, okay? And did they grow it for years? So they're going to be your experts. If you don't have them in your area, phone a friend, ask family. What'd your grandparents do? What'd they grow? You know, there's advice all around. Sometimes we just have to open up our ears and listen to it. And that's the whole point of Chicken Scratch Talk Time. I'm trying to help you through my failures. And instead of a DIY video where you're watching me, I don't think you're really listening to me. And I'm not having that much to say. This is where I sit and I talk to you, and I'm trying to open those eyes, take off the tunnel vision, and we're trying to enrich you in this, okay? Become sustainable. Don't you want to have your own food and know where it came from and say, hey, I did that. I did that, husband. I did that, wife. We did this together. We did it. Kids, y'all did this. Don't think you've got to go buy, okay? You can do it on your own. Stick with it. Go grow something. We'll see you next time on Harmon Homestead.